hello, hello, Kansas City. Welcome to KUAW, Kansas City's global community radio station. You are tuned in with Jessica Lynn Speaks Life, and I'm so excited to sit at the table of purpose with this beautiful woman, Crystal Reed. We're so excited to have you today. Say hello really quickly to the people.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here.
Amen. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, I just wanted to say thank you, Kansas City, for supporting the radio station, KUAW. I am on every first and third Sunday from 5 to 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're on almost all of the social media platforms. You can find us under KUAW Radio. I want to give a shout out to all of those that have supported our upcoming cancer event. This is the month of love, Crystal.
Yes, it is.
It's also the Black History Month.
Yes, it is.
It's also Black History Month every day, 365, 24/7 for us, right? Mm-hmm. But we want to give a moment and a shout out to all of those that have supported the Love Bags for Cancer. Mm-hmm. This is our donation and delivery event to uplift and inspire cancer patients. And so we have received nominations of cancer patients' names from Kansas City to across the country.
Wow.
And so we will be gathering tomorrow in our office, and we will be putting these love bags together to send out to people that are battling cancer so that they can get this love bag in time for Valentine's Day. Yeah. You know, that's going to be so sweet. Beautiful. And then we'll also be putting them together as well for inpatients at KU, and we're going to hand deliver those on this Friday. And so COVID cannot and did not and will not stop us. And so we're excited about that. And for those of you that say COVID cannot, you know, what is she talking about? We are still in a pandemic. And it is alive and real for many people. So shout out to you and your family members. If you are battling or have lost, we lift you up right now. Absolutely. And so we thank you. Kansas City, we've got a lot going on in the city. If you have an event that's coming up in the city, get it to me and I'll be happy to share it. We are gearing up for our 10th anniversary. Giving Hope and Help is 10 years old this November. So we're gearing up for that, and we want everybody in Kansas City to be there. You'll learn more about that all the way up until the day of. So save the date for June 24th because that is the 10th anniversary gala, and we're combining it with our scholarship program. And, you know, we have given away 95 college scholarships, including 5 full rides to MCC Penn Valley. So shout out to our partner, MCC Penn Valley. We're excited about that. And so we are accepting scholarship applications right now. So if you have a senior in high school with a 2.5 GPA, please go to givinghopeandhelp.org to make sure that you complete the scholarship application. There's 2 applications, one for a full ride scholarship, which is for high school seniors or single parents. If you're a single parent and would like to go back to college with a full ride scholarship to MCC Penn Valley, please go to givinghopeandhelp.org and apply for our scholarship. Our scholarship package is amazing. I'll let you take a look at it. It's so amazing. We've got new things. We've got a new corporate sponsor to provide internships. So it's going on and popping in the education arena. So I had to give those shout outs and that information. And now we can move on to our beautiful guest, Miss Crystal Reed.
Thank you.
Wow, she is killing it. She is killing it. What I love most about Crystal is she has taken her gift and she has dominated her gift. And that's what we are supposed to do. We're supposed to dominate in this land.
Absolutely.
And we have gifts and talents, and they will be rendered to someone else if we don't use them.
Absolutely.
And so let's talk about you. I have an introductory here, but I love to let people introduce themselves because no one knows you more than you. And yes, so if you miss anything that's on my write-up,
you got me.
I'll say it. But I'm going to let you speak about yourself, introduce yourself to the people, and tell us a little bit about you, and then we'll start talking about purpose, passion, and power.
All righty. Thank you so much. It is a pleasure to be here. I'm excited to be here. Any opportunity I have to talk about what God has done for me and the gifts that he's given me, I'm taking that opportunity to talk. So I'm happy to be here. But my name is Crystal Reed. I am a wife and mom. I have 3 beautiful little children. My husband and I have been married for 11 years. I have spent a lot of years in the education field, and I've been able to work with a lot of kids and touch a lot of lives. But I've known from day one writing was my purpose. And so I'm here now as an author. I guess I can put that title behind my name now. I released a book 2 years ago called Hugs from the Sky that talks about grief. And it's something that I wanted to produce for kids because we often overlook kids when it comes to death and grief. They're usually the last to be checked on. They're usually the last to even be thought about. We get to doing meal trains and we check on the parents and the adults and we're worried about the bills and how everything's going to be paid for, but we really don't stop and think about how are the kids handling this situation. So because I've been in that space, I wanted to create a resource that would help kids during that time. So that's where that book came from. And then my second book I just released for the organization Turn the Page KC. I do want to make sure I say that it is not for me. It is for an organization called Turn the Page KC, but it's called I Can Be Me in KC. And it is an absolute beautiful book that takes two children throughout Kansas City, and they're able to meet different entrepreneurs and professionals and just see that, hey, you can be whatever you want to be here in Kansas City. Kansas City is that place where whatever it is that you want to do, you can do that. So
thank you for specializing it to KC.
Yes.
I think that's paramount.
Yes.
Because it could be just named I Can Be
Me. Anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere. But we're saying Kansas City, which means we have a lot to offer.
Yes, we do.
And we have a lot of prominent people in the community that Black and brown children need to be exposed to.
Yes.
So that they can know that I can be that. She looks like me or he looks like me.
Absolutely.
And oftentimes, of course, when they look at TV, they may not see themselves.
Yes.
See themselves now more than ever. But I can remember never seeing myself. I began to watch the stories, Young and the Restless, when I was 4 years old.
My show. My show.
I don't watch it anymore, but I used to watch it because my mom would watch it. And I would watch it at 4 years old. And I would also, as I grew up, watch it with my grandmother and check on what's going on with my grandmother when I was at work or missed it or whatever. This was prior to DVD and DVR and all of that.
It was live, and you had to catch it right then and
Right,
there.
it was live, and you had to catch it there. And I can remember as early as 4 years old looking at Young and the Restless and never seeing me. And I remember literally thinking in my mind, I could never be on that TV because there's nobody like me.
Exactly.
And then I saw Jesse and I forget Morgan. They're on All My Children. They were the first Black couple on All My Children, and I was like, wow, how did they get that? It was just like the first Black couple.
Yes.
Now, if you look at Young and the Restless, you can see a mixture and things like that because diversity and things like that. But growing up, that's just how important your book is what I'm saying. Because I can literally remember as a small child thinking I could never be on TV.
Absolutely.
Even The Price is Right. Oh my gosh, I still want to be on that show. But back then, it was The Price is Right, then Young and the Restless. And I was just like, I could never be on these shows because I don't see myself there.
Yep. And I think another reason that sparked my desire to write that book, too, is historically, Kansas City has this mantra of being like this crab in a barrel type of place. Historically, that's kind of what's been said about Kansas City, and I even hear people say it nowadays, like, oh, I can't make it here in Kansas City. Nobody wants, nobody believes in me. That's not true at all. I think we're called the Show Me State for a reason, and you have to get out here and get it in Kansas City. It's there. It's there waiting for you. You just have to put in the work, and nothing's wrong with that, And so I never skip over that part when I'm talking to kids about certain things. Like, you are going to have to work. That's the point here. You're going to have to put in work, but it's there for you. And one thing I made very vital in the book is it's not just the typical professions. Yes, we have a doctor in the book. Yes, we have, even a lawyer in the book. But I don't want you to get stuck on these 2 or 3 professions to say that, oh, if you're not this, then you didn't make it. There's a baker in the book. We even interviewed a tattoo artist to be in the book. So whatever it is that you want to do, there's a clothing designer in the book who owns his own store here in Kansas City. Whatever it is that you want to do, go for it 100%. Kansas City will give it to you. It's there. You can do whatever it is that you want to do here in the city. Just make sure it's authentically you.
That's so good.
Yeah.
That is so good. So how did you land this deal with Turn the Page KC?
You know what? Nothing but God. So during the pandemic, I spent time at Citizens of the World Charter School as their
Yes.
director of communications. And at that time, there was a woman who was the executive director. Now, she and I had never seen each other in person because we were all working remotely that year because of the pandemic. Once that year ended, she decided to leave and go to another, place of employment, which was a new executive, Turner Page KC. I started something while at Citizens called Citizens Connect. It was a Thursday night TV show that we would do over Facebook Live where all the kids would tune in and I would just interview people from around the city so that they could be exposed to different careers. She remembered that when she left and she said, I have a book idea and it's based off of what you did at Citizens
I
Connect.
love that.
And so that's why for me, and like I said, I can preach a whole sermon on something like that, but that's why you have to always just go with it. When God nudges you to do something, you might not know what it's for in the moment. Because I had no idea what that was for. And then even when I was doing the Citizens Connect, we'd have maybe 8 kids tune in. And I'm like, I'm doing all this work for 8 kids. No, you're doing all this work so this woman could see it and she could take that idea to where she's going next and you could be the one that she calls to write that book. That's why you're doing it. So you can't get caught up on what you see in front of you in the moment. Just do what he asks you to do.
Oh my goodness.
Just do it.
I love that.
Absolutely.
I love it. Just do it because, he holds your future.
Absolutely.
And what you do today affects your future.
Absolutely.
Everything you do today affects your future. And he holds all the pieces of the puzzle and knows how to specifically put them together and put the right people in the right place in your pathway. Wow.
Yes.
Thank you for your obedience.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And this is something that I would love to say to you. Thank you for your yes to God. Because your yes is directly connected to someone else's purpose.
Yes, it is.
That little book that you wrote, some little one is going to read that book and be inspired. And may one day tell the story, this catapulted my passion to go into the lane of being a doctor or a baker or owning my own clothing store or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
An artist. We will never know how we affect positively or negatively affect people by what we do.
Yeah.
And if you do the yes to God's purpose for your life.
And that yes can be scary sometimes.
Oh
but you
my
gotta
gosh, you gotta take a leap. It can be scary. So let's back up a little bit and let's talk about when you finally said, yes, I'm gonna be a writer. I'm gonna, quit my job and really, really give, my call and my purpose a shot.
Yeah. So that wasn't an easy decision.
Oh, I know.
At all. And it's still a little scary sometimes, but it wasn't an easy decision, but it was necessary. And so, like I said before, the first book that I came out talked about grief, and it was really a healing opportunity for me. I lost my dad when I was 11 years old, and because of where I ranked in my family, I'm the baby sister, of only 2 kids. Me and my mom were the only 2 that lived together. My sister had already moved out. Where I ranked, I had to almost be the strong one. My mom had just lost her husband, somebody she had been married to for 24 years.
Wow.
Her high school sweetheart. My sister had just lost her dad, my dad as well, but she had just lost her dad, someone who took her to the father-daughter dance, taught her how to drive. I didn't have those experiences yet, and so her relationship with our father had a little bit more substance to it. Really at my age, all my dad had to do was buy me a teddy bear and I was good to
Just
go.
excited. Yeah,
We
'cause
didn't
it was
get to
your
that
age
place
group.
yet. Yeah, we didn't get to that place yet. And so she handled it a lot differently than I did. My mom handled it a lot differently than I did. So I was really there to be the strong one, to make sure my mom was okay, check on my sister, where you at, are you okay? So at 11 years old, I don't feel like I was able to be
Grief.
I couldn't do it, not as an 11-year-old. And so I balled all that up, took it with me, carried it with me over the years, but I always found myself writing something. I always found myself writing something out. Even when I go to my mom's house now and I go to my bedroom at her house, I'm like, what did I write in this notebook? Just finding random notebooks around the bedroom. And it's like, man, I've been doing this for a long time.
Purpose.
And even when as a kid, I remember I would write little Christmas cards and stuff like that to the family. And everybody's like, wow, Chris, like, this is you. Like, you always write something. You made me cry when you wrote that. So I knew I always had the ability to kind of strike at the heart with my writing, to be transparent through my writing. And I always knew that. So I just carried that with me. But the first book, I said, you know what, Lord, I've never been able to heal from that. So I'm going to write this out like I do all the time. I started writing and I'm like, well, this sounds good.
If I don't say so myself.
Right. This sounds good. And so I'm like, you know what? There's always a purpose to a pain, And I said, I'd be darned if I let my dad's death be in vain.
That's good.
Something had to come from this. He didn't just die for no reason.
Yes.
He never got to meet my husband. He never got to meet his grandkids. It's not going to be in vain. So there has to be a reason and a purpose for this. And I think the first time that I knew that I'm like, oh, okay. All right, Lord, you got me on that one. Good one. Thank you for giving me that little nugget. Was when I met a kid at a local high school here, an elementary school here. And they had got my book from the library.
There you go.
And they came to me and said, my dad passed away last year. And I read your book. And I know he's okay.
That's it.
That was it. I'm good now. My dad's like, his death wasn't in vain anymore because that little kid found comfort.
And what's so awesome about your yes is he will always send confirmation.
Absolutely.
And that was a confirmation that you're in the right lane.
Absolutely.
You're doing what I told you to do. And you are bearing good fruit that will remain.
Yes.
It will remain for generations to come. What an honor. What a tribute. What a blessing. What a gift. What a gift you are. And someone may read your book and say, I want to do this. I want to illustrate. Because it is a beautiful book. I've only seen the cover. I can't wait to get my own copy. I want to do this. I want to illustrate. I want to write books. I want to write cards. I want to be a speaker. I want to do our yes to all my listeners, whatever it is that's keeping you up at night. I was up at 5:00 this morning because I could not sleep about this new initiative that's brewing. That's brewing. And I come to the resolve that I can't worry about the how.
Yes.
I can't worry about the how. I need to just do.
Yep.
He will make a provision for the vision. So I would just offer this. Someone told me yesterday, a young student. I asked her what college she was going to. She's a senior. And she says, I'm going to a local college. I won't even say the name. And I said, well, you don't sound... I didn't even know the young lady, but everything in her was just like, I don't even want to say this school because I'm not proud of this school that I'm going to. And I said, well, you don't seem excited about it. And she said, well, I wanted to go to an HBCU, but it didn't work out. I said, what do you mean it didn't work out? And she just kind of shrugged her shoulders. I said, you haven't even graduated yet.
Right.
How can you say it didn't work out? And I told her the story that I was scheduled, had my dorm, had my schedule, had everything set for MU in Columbia. And 2 weeks before move-in day, I got a full ride to an HBCU.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I told my dad, I said, we going to go visit the school? He said, no, we're not going to go visit the school. I said, why not? He said, we taking you there.
Right.
You
can see
and
when we get there.
And that's exactly what happened. We saw it when we got there. And so I shared that with her, that never let your dream be stumbled by what you can't see. You can't see a way, but you purpose in your heart what you want to do, and God will make a way if it is His will.
Yes, that's the hard part right there, though.
Yeah, that's right.
That's
if it is His
part.
will, if it's God willing for your life. But if you sit on it, you'll never know if His will. He's waiting for you to take one step so He can take the next.
My husband always says, do the natural so that He can do the supernatural.
That's it.
And so it's like, turn over every rock. Turn it over. And once you get to a place where it's like, I've done all I can do, Lord, give Him space to do His thing.
Let Him do His thing.
It was crazy because even this morning, like I told you before we started recording, I had helped with the kids this morning at church, and it was funny because this is what I'm wrestling with right now. And one of the verses was in Luke, and it talked about how the fisherman was like, look, Lord, we've been out here all night, all night. But since you said drop the nets again, I'll go on and drop it again.
Right.
And basically that resonated with me because it's like, Lord, look, I've done all that I can do.
That's it.
But since you said do it again,
Here we go.
I'm gonna do it again.
I'm gonna jump.
Oh.
I'm gonna leap.
Because I'm gonna trust you this time.
I'm gonna move.
I'ma
I'm gonna
do it.
trust.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna
Yep.
have faith.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna have faith.
And when they pulled that net up that time,
There
full
was,
of fish.
Full of fish.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yep.
Cast your net is what I'm hearing you say.
Absolutely.
I'm
And
hearing
do it
you-
again.
And,
And
and
again.
again. And again.
Mhm.
And again. Never, ever, ever,
Yes.
never give up
Mm-hmm.
on your dream.
Absolutely.
Oh, I can't because I don't have the money. Don't let that.
Because I don't either. Listeners, I don't either, you know. But it's one of those things where I didn't need it. God made it to where I didn't even need the money to pull off what he wanted me
That's
to pull off. You know, you started it off thinking, oh, well, an illustrator costs this much. This costs this much. The organization came to me and said, we got it. And we're going to pay you to write the book.
Come on.
I didn't have to come out of pocket for anything.
Come on and testify.
I didn't have to come out of pocket for anything. And so it's like when you do the work, God says, okay, all right. Like
I
how you
see you
said, you
did-
take one step, I got the next one. You take
Correct.
another one, I got the next one.
That's correct.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing of it is, he's a gentle God.
Yes.
And he's not going to push himself
Absolutely
on you.
not.
And so if you're tuned in and you're not a believer, that's okay. He's gentle.
Mm-hmm.
He's gentle. If you ask him to show himself strong to you, he will.
Mm.
He will do it. He will do it because if you invite him in your life, he's not one that's not going to come in.
Because he already got his bags packed.
And
He ready to
he's
move in.
He's just waiting for you to open the door. He's just waiting for you to open the door. And so it's so exciting that you are not having to pay anything. I need you to repeat that, please.
Didn't have to come out of pocket for nothing.
So wait a minute. They're covering the cost of the book.
Yep.
The illustration.
Yep.
The copyright. The
Yep.
printing.
Yep.
The BCN number and all that. Am I saying that correctly?
IBSN.
Yep. All of that. Arthur in the making. I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. They're covering all of that and giving you a stipend or paying you
Yes.
to write the book. Because your gift will make room for you.
Absolutely.
That is
Absolutely.
so profound.
Mm-hmm.
And just backing up here about your first book. Say the name of it, of the sky.
Hugs from the Sky.
Hugs
Yep.
from the Sky is basically about a little girl losing a parent. or-
Yes.
Okay, losing a parent. This is a great resource, a grief resource.
Absolutely.
Wow. Talk about that for me a little bit, the book and how it may help.
Absolutely. So it's something that I feel like I'm not a professional, you know, as far as counseling or anything like that. I'm not licensed or anything like that. So as a disclaimer, this book is not based upon mental health needs or anything like that or social emotional needs. I try to stray away from that as much as I can because I'm not licensed in that area. However, it is a tool to provide comfort. You know, like I said before, kids are usually often overlooked. You know, there isn't a resource there. You always have a resource for the adult. You have a resource, you know, for everything else, but the child is usually left out. And one thing about grief is it doesn't necessarily have to be a person that passes away. If a kid loses their
Dog.
goldfish, dog, whatever it is, for them, that's grief.
That's a lot.
If their best friend from the neighborhood moves to Texas, that's grief.
Yes.
You know, and so there aren't a lot of resources that say, hey, you're going to feel this. That's okay. Here's ways to work through that. You know, a lot of the times we get scared when kids have to deal with grief. They're acting, because I can talk about me. When my father passed at the end of my 5th grade year, I then transitioned to 6th grade the very next, a couple of months, because it was over the summer. A couple of months I transitioned to 6th grade, which meant I went from one teacher in one classroom to 6 teachers and 500 kids, I'm guessing, you know. So everything changed for me. My home dynamics changed. I'm switching schools now. You know, I don't have a rapport relationship with these teachers here, you know. And so if you were to ask any 6th grade teachers at Lincoln Middle School in 98 to 99, they would probably say Crystal Cheatham was a handful, you know. But that's because I didn't have a resources to say, you were going to feel this way, and here's how you deal with it.
And how you process this loss.
At all. There was nothing.
And you were expected to go on status quo, and it wasn't status quo.
Yep.
Your whole life had been changed
Absolutely.
upside down.
Absolutely. So there was nothing there. And so what I did was I acted out. You know, whatever came out my mouth to a teacher is what came out my mouth, you know, because I don't know how to process what's going on in my mind right now.
You're angry and hurt.
I'm angry. I'm hurt. I'm devastated. I'm confused because a part of me feels like my dad left when actually he died. And then the other half is like, well, God, why would you take my dad away from me? So now I'm supposed to believe in you and you took my daddy away? Like, what's
What's going
what
on?
is this? You know, my mom's not the same, you know.
Oh, she's grieving too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, but as a kid, it's like I can't process all that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all I see is when my mom comes home from work, she goes straight to her room. That's not what I'm used to. You know,
You're
I'm used
isolated.
to us baking cookies. I'm used to us doing this. But I'm not understanding that that lady just lost her husband. Like, he's
She's
gone.
doing the best she can.
Exactly. You know, and that didn't really dawn on me until I became an adult. You know, me being married now, I'm like, I don't know how I would cope if something happened
you
to
would
my
cope
husband.
much differently because
'Cause
of
I
what
know
you
it.
know. And when you know better, you do better.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
when you know, we as and this is not necessarily a cultural thing, but I can only speak for my culture. You know, we are expected to keep it moving,
Push it under the rug.
push it, keep it going. We're just now accepting therapy.
Yes.
We're just now accepting counseling, but we have hundreds of
Yeah.
years of suppression,
Yes.
oppression, omission, invisibility, if that's a
Right.
word. you know, you know, my husband, you know, was killed, and I got to keep going. I got 4 kids. I
Absolutely.
got to keep going. You know, this is the we don't even give ourselves time to breathe
Yep.
and break and process. Your mom immediately probably got a job so she can keep
Absolutely.
things going. You know, and she provided a roof over your head, and at
She
that
did.
moment, that's all she could do,
Yep.
right?
That's it.
And so, not only do the kids need your book, but the parents need to read the book to your kids.
Absolutely.
to
Absolutely.
their kids so that they can understand they
Yes.
need help in this processing too. And so, what would you offer to anyone that's listening if they have lost a spouse or a loved one and children are grieving as well?
I would say the number one thing is just find different ways for communication. You know, it is a season of grief, so nobody's expecting everything to stay the same. It just can't. You know, so nobody's saying suck it up and get in there and get it done. This is a time of grief. But I think one thing that my mom tried, I would say that she definitely tried, and I respect her and love her for that. To find different ways of communication. And so, if the parent is grieving, and you can't get it right to go in front of your kid, get a notebook. Write in a notebook, pass the notebook to the kid, let the baby write in a notebook, let them pass it back to you. Just find other ways to communicate and keep that door of communication open between the two of you all. Because what will happen is and I love me some of Yana Van Zandt. I love that show. But what will happen is if love and support is not cultivated in that moment of grief, that's the ingredients to create what that relationship will be like forevermore. You know, once you go through something with somebody, if you're not there for me, if I didn't feel comforted by you, if I didn't feel your support, that will carry on with our relationship forevermore. You know, and so that's one thing I do not want parents to have to experience if they ever have to go through grief and loss with their kids, you know, at a young age. Because that can spark to where, well, I'm not never talking to my mom about anything. You know, she didn't care enough about me to check on me. You know, I don't want that for families. So you have to keep that line of communication open at all times and just be creative. Kids have cell phones now. If y'all got to create a little text thread to where it's, hey, if show a blue, red, or green emoji to tell me how you feeling today. Whatever it is, you just want to make sure that line of communication stays open so that as that child grows older, they still have that relationship with you to where they feel comfortable talking to you and being open and transparent with you, because you don't want to lose that as a parent.
No,
you don't want to lose
You don't
that.
want to lose that as a parent. That is so true. Communication.
Absolutely.
Communication is key.
And it's okay to tell your baby, I'm not feeling it right now.
I'm not feeling
okay.
it. Can we talk later? Even just communicating that
Yes.
is better than not saying anything
Yeah.
and the child feeling invisible.
Yes.
That is a breeding ground for depression, suicide.
Yes. Rejection, all type of
yes,
things.
All
Yep.
kind of, and then hurting people grow up to hurt other people.
Yep.
So they get in relationship and keep the cycle going with their children, and then it becomes generations of, you know,
Hurt people.
you heard, you know, all of them, they crazy all of them.
Yes.
You know,
All of them is really just hurting. Didn't nobody say nothing
where
to
did
them.
it start? You know what I mean? It started somewhere.
Yeah.
It started somewhere, and somebody kept up the quietness, and I believe that is one of the biggest fallacies of our generation.
Yes.
and of our culture due to slavery.
Yeah.
Because if you go back, I mean, we just get it. We ain't got time to waste time.
Come on.
Let's go.
Yep.
You know, if you coming, you coming. If you ain't coming, you know,
Right.
that's the attitude that Harriet Tubman had to have.
Yeah, she did.
If you
She
coming,
did.
you coming.
And if not,
Are
gone.
you gonna be you gonna be staying a slave. You
Yeah.
know, in here, and some of them, you know, I think one of the quotes she said, I'm not quoting it verbatim, it's paraphrased. The saddest thing about the people that I helped get free is some of them were still slaves in their mind.
Yeah.
And so we have a lot of that going on. We have to make a decision how we want to live.
Absolutely.
And so I love a notebook. I love a 70-page spiral notebook.
Oh, got to have a spiral now.
It's the 70-page spiral with the crazy wire that's crazy at the
That'll
tip.
come off at the top.
That is what I ask people to do. You know, they say, how did you start what you do? How do you do what you do? I got a 70-page notebook.
And just started.
And I just started writing, and I started writing my things. And now I've upgraded to my notes on my cell phone.
Uh-oh, now. Come
Which
on.
I was on at 5 a.m. this morning, writing my goals, and these are stretch goals, writing the things that you want to do. What is it that you want to see? What is it that you want to see you accomplish?
Yeah. Yeah.
These are personal things. And how are you going to get there? Well, the first thing about it, I'm sure you wrote it down because you're a writer, what you want to do.
Yeah.
And then you started doing little things to get to what you wanted to do. And next thing you know, you done ran into it. Paid for. Come on.
Done. Done.
But where did it start?
Yeah, it has to start with commitment.
Yeah.
That's the very best thing, because for me, and I think there's other people that think just like myself, you know, where you second guess everything.
Yes.
You don't, can I do this? Will the people like it if I do it? You know, even being on a radio show right now, I know when I talk, I can talk country as all get out. So sometimes it's like, will they even like what I got to say? Well, am I going to sound right? It doesn't even matter. It does not matter. Just
That's
go
the beauty
for it.
of who we are.
Yes. Yes.
Our wrong slang and our incorrect language.
Because I'm going to throw
and-
finna in there somewhere.
You know what I'm saying? It is the beauty of who we are. And our own
the uniqueness.
individual
Yes.
identity. We're all cut. None of us have the exact same. This is amazing.
all
None of
all
us.
of these. And
There
none
is
of these
not-
are the same. That's
None
the
of
crazy
fu-
part.
The fingerprints. None of them are the same.
Yeah.
So we are fearfully and wonderfully
Yes.
made
Yes.
and created by God to do great things. Wow.
Yeah.
You're a total inspiration.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wow. So has your kids read the books? I mean,
Yes.
talk to us. Did you use them as guinea pigs? How did that work with your children? And
Sorta.
share their ages.
So my kids are 10, 8, and 6. I have
Right
two
in the
boys.
row. Wow.
Oh yes, 2 boys and a girl. My girl's in the middle, so she is the household's second mama.
Okay.
She's the second mama for sure. But my
Yeah,
kids
I
are
read
not.
one of those stories. Not to interrupt you, but I gotta say this story. When your son left, he left the juice on the counter,
Oh yes,
and she drunk some of it.
because she
And
said don't leave it on the counter.
she says it's open to the public. You leaving your stuff out
Right.
there. I love her already. Oh
Yes.
gosh.
Oh, she's all of that.
She's all of that.
she's
She said you
all
left
of
your
that.
juice on the
She said,
counter.
don't do it then if you don't want me to sip it.
Don't
Simple
leave
as
it out
that.
there.
But and that's one thing too. My kids are definitely inspiration for me. A lot of my writing stems from them and my experiences for them. But my kids are not, and I'll give credit to my husband and myself how we raise our kids. They weren't necessarily wowed that Mama wrote a book. Well,
Because
Mama,
it's the natural progression.
it's the natural progression. And Mama, you told us to go hard on the things that we do. That's
So
what
you're
you're
just
doing.
showing the example.
Exactly. So they weren't necessarily wowed by it. They was like, oh, that's cute. You know. Now they have asked me to write a book for them, and I am in the process of that. You know, but they're not.
So they're all going to have their own character.
Yes,
I love that.
That's a must. Before they get a little too old and it becomes juvenile for them, I want to make sure I get that out.
You
and
better
have
get
them
it now,
experience.
because in a minute they ain't even want to talk to you.
Oh yes, my 10-year-old's almost there.
Oh
He's-
my
he's
goodness!
almost
It's like,
there.
Mom, okay.
He got a little chain for Christmas, and that just changed his whole lifestyle.
When his whole just bumped his ego
Whole
all
nother
the way
young
up.
man. Whole nother young man.
I love it. Been there, and it's so fun.
It
It's so
is.
fun to see, and it's so fun to watch.
It is.
I love that, and the way they interact with each other. So talk to us a little bit about how things are, how you keep the memory of your dad alive with your children.
Oh yeah.
And see, one thing I share that the physical body may be gone, but the memories remain. And so how do you teach them about your dad and the memory, and how is it for them to process that they get to grow up without their grandfather?
So I'll have to start with myself first, because that has been something that I've wrestled with for a very, very long time. You know, I did not want my kids to not grow up with a granddad. You know, I couldn't handle that, especially having boys too, you know, and knowing the type of dad my dad was. I mean, he was going to have them out there playing flag football all day. Like, he was just a very active dad. So knowing that my kids wouldn't grow up with that, I just couldn't take
Face
that,
it.
you know. But luckily, my husband has an amazing dad. My father-in-law is the best.
Wow.
I mean, the absolute best. And so he was, God got me on a solid right there. He gave me a
So
solid right
awesome.
there with a terrific father-in-law. So they do get to experience that grandfather-ness, you know. And my father-in-law is definitely country, you know. So if the kids
Oh,
go
that's
over there,
so
they're going
good.
to sit on the couch and eat little, what's it called, hog head cheese and crackers and watch some Westerns. I want that for my kids.
Sure.
You have to have those type of experiences, you know. But unfortunately, my husband, my mother-in-law, my husband's mom, she passed away 2 years ago.
I'm sorry
And
to hear
so, you know, that was another layer of grief. And I'm like, oh, God, come on. Like, I want my kids to have that rich relationship with their grandparents, you know. And so while I'm trying to keep my dad's memory alive, I also want to keep, you know, my mother-in-law's memory alive for them as well, too, because those were two dynamic people that y'all got to remember. This is y'all heritage. Y'all come from
Yes.
these people, you know.
Yes.
And so as far as my dad goes, my sons look just like him. You know, my sons look just like my dad, you know. I have a lot of his mannerisms, so I always try to call that out. You know, y'all, you looking just like your grandpa right now, you know. I've taken them out to the cemetery. They don't really understand that concept just yet, you know, but I do want to show them, like, this is a part of life, you know, and I try to teach them the love with the hand open concept. You know, God gives us a lot of things, but God also said that everything in this earth is his, and he going to take it back. You know, it's his stuff. And so I try to teach them to love with an open hand, to where if I lay something in my hand right now, I can feel it, I can smell it, I know if it's warm or if it's cold, I can still love it with my hand open, you know, but understanding that God can take it out my hand at any time. But if I'm doing like this, when God takes it away, that's going to hurt, you know. So I try to teach them to love with the open hand concept, you know, that there is a possibility that in your lifetime, I might go. Your dad might go, you know, your grandmother, your grandfather that's left here might go, you know, and you just have to be prepared for that, not to get them scared or
Sure.
anything, you
But it's
know,
life,
but
and it's
it's
realistic.
life. It's life, and it's realistic.
And I thank you for teaching them that, because a lot of kids who are not aware of that have a self-entitlement.
Yes.
That I can treat my parents and treat my loved ones any way I want to. And those are the ones that are trying to crawl in the casket,
Right.
because they thought that they had time and they didn't think that this person would ever leave here. And we have to be very cautious about that with raising children and turning our mindset.
Yeah.
To, it's not promised. Tomorrow's not promised.
And not even for yourself.
Correct.
You know, so kids, don't slack off on a day.
Correct.
You know, don't. And I really want my kids to every day, every 24 hours you get, whatever you got going on in your 10-year-old or 8-year-old or 6-year-old mind, that 24 hours is a gift. Live it. Do it. Do whatever it is. If my youngest son wants to do 6 flips on a trampoline and then zip down it, go for it, baby. Go for it. I mean, because this is your 24. I want you to live it to the fullest.
I love that. I love it. Live your 24
Yes.
to the fullest.
To the fullest.
Because all we have really and truthfully is right now.
This very moment.
And I'm just grateful. We have to be grateful.
Yeah.
So my word for, well, what is your word or your phrase? I know you got something for 2023.
2023. I would say it's kind of what I just said earlier, that my husband tells me all the time, like, do the natural and let God do the supernatural. So I'm going to do everything in my power to do what I feel like he's told me to do. That's it. That's all I can do. So I'm going to do it, regardless if I got the money, regardless if I feel like I have the knowledge, regardless if I feel like I have the correct connections. I'm going to do it. And I'm going to just pray and hope and trust that he got the rest.
And he'll fill it in. I always say, do your best and God will do
Do
the
the
rest.
rest. Yes, ma'am.
Do your best and he will do the rest. And when he sees you taking that one step, he'll put you in the path.
Yes.
True story. Something just happened to me earlier today. Actually, about 2 hours ago. I am in the store and I am purchasing word search books for cancer patients to fill our love bags. Now, I fell in love with word search books as a child because my grandmother loved word search books. And she taught me how to quickly find the words.
Oh, you got secrets?
I got secrets. And so this is my way of honoring her and paying tribute to her in the love bags.
Yeah.
So we put the large print, the full big book, so the patients, they can do that while they're in the hospital or while they're getting their chemo treatment. And it's good brain therapy.
Yes.
So I go over to the word search book section, and there's an older lady there, and she's so super excited about the word search books. She has her daughter with her, and she said, "Oh, I've never seen this many different ones," and she was just so excited about these word search books, and they were buying a lot of them. And the daughter says, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me move my basket." I said, "Oh no, I'm just buying some for cancer patients." And she said, "For cancer patients?" I said, "Yes." I told her what I was doing. And she said, "Give me 5 of your books. I'm buying your books." And I said, "Oh, that is so
Wow.
kind." And she says, "I lost a friend to cancer last
wow.
night." Okay, here we go.
Right, because water
Here
works
we-
at this point.
Here we go. You know what I mean? I lost a friend to cancer last night. And I'm like, oh my God. So she gives me her card. "If you're ever doing this again," I said, "Well, we do this all the time." And, I told her about giving hope and help. And she says, "Well, we're going, Mom." And Mom is so excited. "Oh, thank you for doing this. Thank you for doing that." So we're in the line, and I put all my books up there. She's behind me, and she says, "I'm going to pay for mine, for you, and then I'll give them to you." And I said, "Okay." So I'm looking at the cash register. I had all these books, and I looked at her. She says, "Just to let you know, I took some more of your books." So she
Wow.
took some of mine off of my area
Wow.
and paid for more. And she said, "God only asks us to be kind."
That's it.
This is a perfect stranger. God only asks us to be kind. And thank you for what you do. And we went on and we took a picture, and her mom hugged me and kissed me, and oh my gosh, it was just like I've been knowing these women
For years.
But there was a time when we started this Love Bags for Cancer where I didn't have money for the word search books. But when you say yes to your purpose, and I will back up and say that this was birthed out of my niece's death, who was battling cancer.
Wow.
So this was inspired by her. When she was still alive, I launched Love Bags for Cancer to support women and men for Valentine's Day that were hospitalized. And so we have continued on. This is our 9th year. Over 600 cancer patients have received these bags. What am I saying? I'm not bragging about that. What I'm saying is when you do what you're supposed to do, you'll never know the lives that you touch and bless.
Yep.
This woman just lost a friend last night to cancer. This really empowered her. She now wants to be a volunteer. She wants to serve with the organization. Just from saying hi today.
Yeah.
Just
Wow.
from saying hi. What am I saying? I'm saying be kind.
Yeah.
Come out of yourself. Learn about your neighbor at the store. If you
That's
see
a
him
big one
buying
there.
a whole bunch of stuff, what do you do? What are you buying all
What
that
you got
stuff for?
going on?
Right. What are you doing? How can I help? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And so that just really inspired me that, wow, people really do care.
Yeah.
And she wasn't of my persuasion. And my husband, he was waiting in the car. I said, "Honey, can you get out the car and get the picture?" He didn't even hesitate. He know how I roll.
Right.
So he just hurried up and got out the car and took the picture. And as we were driving off, he says, "It just doesn't matter what you look like."
At all. At all. Oh, because the woman that's over
Yeah.
the organization that paid me to write a book
Come on.
is a Caucasian woman.
See?
So it does not matter. And we can get so caught up on that
Oh,
all
yes.
the time.
Oh, yes.
We can get so caught up on that all the time of, I got to do for this. And no. God's people is God's people.
Oh, that's good.
And he nowhere in there did he say, love as long as they look like you. Now, don't get me wrong. We do have some history here that causes us to be a little cautious,
Exactly.
And I can understand that.
But that's where forgiveness comes in.
That's where it comes in at. But the word says love. Period.
Period.
That's
Period.
it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Just absolutely, absolutely unadulterated, period.
Yes.
We have to walk in love. We have to help our neighbor, love our neighbor.
Yes.
And just be a good person.
And it takes the weight off of you.
It takes the weight
I'm
off
not
of
walking
you.
around so stressed out and heavy shouldered, If I go into a store, I'm smiling at everybody that I see.
There you
Hey,
go.
how you doing?
Oh, my
because it has
goodness.
what good does it do me to not do that?
What good?
You know,
What good?
just speak to everybody. You never know what somebody's going through. You never know how their day is going. And that smile that you just gave them could have just turned their whole day around.
That's it. My little grandson is 3, and you take him in the store. We were in the store. I had him with me over the Christmas break, and we went in, and every person we passed, he said, "Hi, my name is Kenji. Hi, my name is Kenji." And I just thought that was so sweet. My son used to do the same thing,
Aw.
and I just said, "Wow, what a sweet spirit." And you could see people who were not smiling, and "Hi, my name is Kenji,"
And all of a sudden,
everybody knows love.
Yeah.
Regardless of what
That's a
persuasion
universal
you
language.
are, that's it. Everybody knows a smile,
Yeah.
and everybody knows a love. We even know what a smile looks like with the mask on,
Right.
Because our
Little
eyes are
cheeks.
smiling, you
Right.
know. And so, be encouraged to love.
Absolutely.
Be encouraged to move and do the right thing and be nice and be kind. And when someone is mean to you, just say, "I hope that your day is getting better."
Absolutely.
I've done that at the cashier. Ooh, I had a nasty cashier person ringing me up, and I mean just throwing my stuff in the bag, and you know we can get out of character. Like, why she there? You don't know what's going on with her, right?
You all right, baby?
You don't know what's going on with her. And I said, "I hope that your day gets better." And her eyes filled with tears, and she said, "My daughter is in an abusive marriage."
You never know how close the person. I remember I started going to counseling about 3 years ago. And to your point, I was like, "Oh, God, I don't go no counseling." You know, I sat in that chair. That lady asked me one question, and I fell apart.
Wow.
Fell completely apart.
Wow.
And it's like, you just don't know how close somebody is to that edge. You know, sometimes we look at our community, and it's like, I get why some of this stuff is happening. Everybody is that close. You know, and all it takes is that one thing. Had I just said, to your point, "Baby, I hope your day gets better," that could have changed the whole trajectory of how certain situations went. You know, if you cut me off on the highway, you got it.
That's it.
Or what I'm gonna do? Go 90 miles an hour to try to catch up with you now and to
Road rage.
flip you off?
For
You know, like
what?
what does that do? Just let them have it. Go ahead, baby. It's cool. It's no big deal.
So if you're just tuned in, you're tuned in to Jessica Lynn Speaks Live on KUAW, Kansas City's global community radio station. For those of you that don't know, KUAW stands for Knowledge, Understanding, and Wisdom. And in all your ways, get an understanding.
Absolutely.
And get wisdom. And so we have a special guest today. I'm so excited. Wow. Crystal Reed, author, speaker, phenomenal woman, overcomer. I'm going to some of my notes now because she's got some things going on, and I've got a few more questions. Man, it's already 10 minutes till. Can you believe that? We've been rolling over here. So I think we talked about all this, but on your website, you have a message about power in your message. And I always say there's power in your story. And whenever you share your story,
Absolutely.
you'll find out that you're never alone. So you have a point on here, overcoming childhood trauma, finding your inner strength and actually using it.
Yep.
And then living in love after loss. I think we talked a little bit more about living in love after loss. Let's talk a little bit about finding your strength and actually using it.
Oh, yeah. We can always find our strength. It's easy to find something, you know, but are you going to put it to use? The work comes when you actually have to put it to use, you know. And so for myself, I've never had a problem speaking in front of a crowd, you know, never had a problem addressing, you know, people in public. You know, that is a thing for some people, you know, public speaking.
Sure.
Not a problem for me. Never had a problem with writing and articulating my feelings. Never had a problem with that. But what good does it do if you just talking to yourself in the bathroom at home and you just writing in a spiral notebook that you keep to yourself?
That's good.
You know, you can find your purpose, you can find your strength, but if you don't use it, then what? You might as well have just kept it lost, you know, because it's not reaching the people that it needs to reach. God doesn't give us spiritual gifts for ourselves. You know, to your point, you said this earlier, he gives us spiritual gifts for the next person.
That's right.
Me being able to speak in public, me being able to write had nothing really to do with me. Now, it was a bonus that he allowed me to write that first book and it helped me heal, but it wasn't for me. It was never for me. It was for the next person. So you have to be able to find that gift. But if you don't use it, then it's a waste. You know, it's sort of null and void because you haven't You haven't done what you were called to do. You are called to serve the next person. And if you're not using that gift, and you said this also too, God will find somebody else to do it.
I don't want to be replaced.
That's one of my biggest fears. I remember a Sunday school teacher I had as a kid gave this illustration about, and I can't say if it's accurate or not. You know, I don't know, but it stuck with me.
It worked.
Yeah, it worked. He gave this illustration about, you know, when we get to heaven and there's a room full of all the blessings that God wanted to give you. And he's like, how would you feel if he opened up that door and it was packed to the rim? I want that room to be empty. When I get up there and he opens up a room of all the things that he wanted to give me, it shouldn't be nothing in there. It shouldn't be anything in there. I don't want it to be full when I get there, because I want to be able to experience all the blessings that you have for me now. You
Here
know,
on earth.
but he can't if I'm not doing the thing that he
you're not
asked me to
willing.
do. Yep. So you have to find that strength. You have to find your spiritual gifts, but you have to be willing to use it. You know, and that comes with a lot of adversity, because again, who are they going to listen? Will they like it? So what? Somebody will. You know, somebody will like it. And to your point, God will make room for you. You start the work.
He'll
That
finish
crowd right there might not like you, but he's going to move you right over here to this one that will. You
That's
know,
good.
and you don't have to worry about all the other things. If you draw, if you speak, if you write, if you sing, there is a crowd. If God gave you that gift, there's a crowd out there for you that needs that. You know, we can see that now with the different types of pastors and preachers that you have. Some people don't like the contemporary Jordan wearing pastors, but that pastor relates to somebody out there
right.
that needs him.
That's right.
Somebody might have to have the hooping and hollering suit wearing pastor, because somebody relates to that and they need that. So there's room for everybody.
Every gift.
And that goes to say that we don't have to fight for anything. I don't have to compete with you. You don't have to compete
It's
with
enough
me.
room, and it's enough for everybody.
It's enough room. We don't have to have competition. I don't have to be jealous if you get more likes than I do. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because everybody that's on yours is who God wanted you to serve. Everybody who's with me is who God wanted me to serve. And it's just as simple as that.
It is just
doesn't-
as simple as that. So true. So good. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I just love this. I love it. I
Yes,
love
ma'am.
sitting at the table of purpose, passion, and power with powerful women like yourself. I think we've heard so many ways what your purpose and your passion is. But I do want to say, if you didn't say yes to your passion, you wouldn't have a purpose.
Absolutely not.
And what makes it powerful is you putting action. See, a lot of us have a purpose. All of us have a purpose.
Yep.
All of us have a purpose. All of us have a passion. Even we may not know what that purpose or passion is right now. But what I typically say, whatever you have survived and overcome is wrapped up and connected to
Absolutely.
your purpose and your passion.
Absolutely.
You know, I saw I don't know if you've ever seen that show, I Survived. I binge watched it last night.
Absolutely.
I was supposed to be resting, and that was my rest, watching I Survived. But what I love about I Survived is what people end up doing after they survived.
Absolutely.
And one of the girls went through a terrible ordeal. Terrible, terrible, terrible. And she is now a sexual assault advocate because what she went through.
Yep.
So she helps women all over the place overcome and
Absolutely.
and she says this had to happen
Had to.
in order, because she says I had never even, this was never in my mind to
Yeah.
be this type of person and give these contributions to society.
Wow.
But she had to go through that. And sometimes we say, why me? Why did my mom die? Why did your dad die at 11? Because of the purpose God had for you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I think about the girl that I would be had he still been here. Definitely not the woman sitting across from me right now. You know, I was extremely spoiled. I was
thinking in my mind, spoiled brat.
Oh, yeah. I was definitely a daddy's girl. You know, I didn't have to ask twice for anything.
Wow.
You know, my dad always showed up, and he always showed up. You know, I remember my sister and I were talking too about Christmas time used to be from the tree all the way to the stairs, like gifts. That's just the type of dad he was. But I didn't have to display any level of worth ethic for that. I didn't have to display any level of tenacity or anything like that. It was just, Daddy, I won't.
And you got
And
it.
it appeared. That's not who this woman is.
Wow.
You know, that's not who she is.
And I'm sure you don't do that for your children.
Oh, absolutely not. You know, now I take care of my babies and make sure that they have some
Oh, sure,
pleasures.
sure.
You know, but no, I have to build. I got to build them up. you know, and instill in them the characteristics that I know they're going to need to face this world.
They need a box of the fruits of the Spirit. And they
Absolutely.
need a box of character and integrity.
Yes.
And kindness and love. This is what we need to be giving our children.
Yes.
You know, I heard my husband, I didn't hear the sermon, but he did, so he shared it with me, about a pastor has several children, and every time they wanted something, they would have to present it to he and his wife with a scripture and present basically the case as to how God has a plan
Right.
for their lives for them to receive these things. Wow. How different this world would be
Yes.
if we were to train our children up in the admonition of God
Absolutely.
to want the things that he has, that he wants for our lives. Wow.
It's so hard. It's so hard. And I just pray for my generation, especially because we are that generation that experienced both lifestyles.
Yes.
You know, I didn't get a cell phone until I was 15. You know, Facebook didn't come out until I was a freshman in college. You know, and so we lived both worlds. We know your mama picking up the other line and breathing heavy on the phone, trying to eavesdrop on your phone call. We know that lifestyle, and we also know, you know, the new technology lifestyle. We know life before social media, and we know life after social media. So we kind of have the best of both worlds, but I feel like we struggle the most in that area because we know both. It's hard for us to choose. You know, if I'm wrapped up in scrolling all day long, then I'll never understand what God has for me because I'm always looking at what he got for you.
Destiny robber.
Exactly.
That's what I call this right here.
Exactly. And it's hard to hear God, and
Culprit
especially
of depression.
Oh yeah.
Comparing yourself to others.
And a sad reality about that is God's gift for everybody does not look the same.
Ooh,
It does not look the same. My purpose may not
Wow.
come with a 7,000 square foot house. It might not. And that's okay if it just might
don't
not
matter
come.
because I got a mansion somewhere else anyway.
Exactly.
Not made my band's hands.
Right. Mine might not come with a Tesla.
Come on. Come on.
You know, it might not come with the Tesla, and that's okay. But if I keep myself engulfed,
Come on.
and well, dang, her husband just took her to the Bahamas. Well, dang, God is like, baby, turn it off so you can hear me. I'm trying to tell you what I have.
I'm
for
trying
you.
to get something to you, and you trying to compare
Exactly.
yourself to what you don't have with others. Wow. Crystal, we're going to have you back. We got literally 15 seconds.
Right.
I want to thank you for coming.
Absolutely.
Thank you for coming on. Thank you, Kansas City, for tuned in. Listen, share this inspiration with someone today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You can find Crystal at
www.lovecreedkc.org, and that's LOVECREEDKC.org.
Thank you, Kansas City. You've been tuned in to Jessica Lynn Speaks Life. Give some love today and every day.
Absolutely.
And be blessed.